All right, everyone. So the Great Khali responded to the idea of him returning to the WWE. Here's what he said. I don't think so. Going back to WWE, I'm doing so many things. CW, I have a restaurant business. I have lots of commercials, so many events in India. I'm busy all the time. I don't want to come back to WWE. I want to come back, just say hello, hi, check in a little bit, Royal Rumble, not permanently. Permanently, no. I'm doing so many things. So Great Khali is really one of my one of my favorite wrestlers. He was just I remember when they did the Punjabi prison and all that kind of stuff, and that was a whole new match. I don't think that lasted too long, but that was there. I remember he used to do that thing where you basically grab one side of the guy's head and the other and just squish. And that was he was a force. There's nothing else you could say about it, right? Great Khali was a major, major force in the WWE. And I would love to see him come back for the Royal Rumble and come back for these different events because he's awesome. He really is awesome. It's like I always say in this channel, it's like if the way I judge if a wrestler is good or not is pretty much just when I think of an era, is he someone that's going to come up the first minute I'm thinking about it? If he's someone that is, or she's someone that is, then I love it, right? And that to me is like, okay, this is a wrestler that I think is pretty big time. If not, then of course no. But Great Khali, I'll never forget, because he was just a guy you're like, "Oh my god, how is this person gonna beat him? How is that person gonna beat him?" I don't know if I loved his character towards the end where they made him into more of a joke, but when he was really just like a badass heel, I think that was his best for sure. But put in the comment section below what you think about Great Khali. Thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So this match on Monday Night Raw went shorter than planned. On a recent edition of Sportskeeda's Backstage Pass, WrestleVotes reported that Jey Uso versus Austin Theory was originally planned to last 11 minutes. Instead, it ended in a quick squash. It's unclear whether Cena going long caused such a dramatic shift in time for this bout. I'm just looking at a document here. The match was spaced out for 11 minutes last night. I don't know if Cena drawing out the opening of the show affected it. I know it affected other things on the show. I can tell you it was spaced out for 11 minutes. Okay. So this is one of the interesting things about the Netflix move is that one of the things we thought was the beauty of this Netflix move is going to be we're going to get basically, they don't have to really work too much on the time of the show, right? You could have something run long. You don't have to squash anything else. You could have this happen, have that happen. But it seems like WWE is sticking to a strict schedule as it pertains to Raw, right? It doesn't look like they're still doing it like they would do it on regular television, where if something goes longer, they go shorter in another spot. And I don't 100% know why that is. I understand Triple H saying, look, just because we have these kind of time constraints or the lack of time constraints doesn't mean we want to do 3-hour shows. We still want to have this thing buttoned up. But if you have one segment that was good that went longer, and you still have another segment that's pretty good, and it's like 10 minutes, you would think they would continue just to let that play out as is. So it's interesting that even with the freedom Netflix is bringing, it doesn't seem that WWE is really all that interested in that, right? It just doesn't seem that interested in it. So put in the comments section below what you think about that, and we will see you next time. All right, everyone. So Jerry the King Lawler gave a health update. Here's what he had to say. I feel great. I feel good, except my knees are a little bit under the weather. I had my right knee replaced about 6 or 7 months ago, and they said it takes about a year to get back to normal. My left knee needs to be replaced too, but I'm going to wait a while on that one. Well, that's something that's here constantly every day. I've just about gotten over. I want to say gotten over, but I haven't really because the effects of the stroke are always there. My whole right side of my body is damaged, and I can't really write too well. I can't draw worth a darn, but I still can sign an autograph. Thank goodness. Other than that, I feel fine. So this is obviously really sad. Anytime you have a stroke like this or something, there are just so many things that it impacts, and it really, it continues to. Hopefully, the farther he gets away from it, a lot of these problems start to go away a little bit for him. But it really is sad for those that weren't able to see Jerry Lawler actually wrestle full time. The beauty of it is we all got to see him be an announcer for as long as he was, and he was. We talk about Jim Ross, you talk about Michael Cole, but Jerry the King Lawler was one of the best announcers as well. And, my everybody remembers from the Attitude Era, he would just be sitting there anytime one of the female wrestlers would come out, he'd have some kind of comment or something like that. And it was just, you knew it was coming, but it was just so perfect. Or him cheering for the heels. Like it was just all so perfect, right? It was just a perfect guy to have sit next to Jim Ross, and he really was special. And the fact that he was a former wrestler and a big one at that, right? A big named wrestler. He also would get involved every once in a while in certain things here and there. I just, I hope he has a good, rest of his life here. I hope he's able to kind of mitigate these symptoms. I hope all of this stuff gets a little bit better so he lives comfortably and he can continue to have a high quality of life. And it looks like, he's on the road to recovery, which is great news. And hopefully that continues. So thank you all for watching. We will see you next time. All right, everyone. So Biggie said this on the Raw Recap podcast. He said, to see the way Penta, has been spotlight in the WWE, to see the way the fans have taken to him the last couple of weeks, I have been thinking, where is his WrestleMania spot? Where does Penta land? I couldn't really find of. And when he said the IC title is what I'm coming after, I said, yes, that is what I need to see. Him and Braun is such that a potential matchup is such a unique style clash. I don't even know what we are going to see. I know it's going to be incredible, but it's something that never really crossed my mind. So that transcript was from ewrestlingnews.com. Okay. So I'm all for this. I definitely think that when you look at Penta and his kind of debut so far in the WWE, right, the beginning time he's been here, I think it's all been phenomenal. I think the fans are buying in because number one, he delivers good matches, which in the mid card, that's key. It's a lot tougher to just be a guy that could give good promos in the mid card spot because it's like everybody's kind of sitting there like, well, he's not going to be getting main event things, right? So when you could deliver those good matches, it's very easy, even when you're not getting kind of the amount of time that the main eventers get. But Penta can deliver good matches. The fans are liking his promos. So I think there's a lot of really, really good stuff from him so far. And I think a WrestleMania spot is actually perfect for it. Because when we have these matches at WrestleMania, and we've seen it year after year, those good mid card matches, which are so key, right? Because these shows are long, so you can't just have a good first match and a good main event. You got to deliver in those mid sections. It's about what we see in the ring a lot of times. Even if you have a good story built, you still want to see something really good in the ring. Remember, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. That one wasn't good. There was a beautiful story that was presented up to that point, but the match did not come out the way they wanted to. So I think Penta and Braun will be phenomenal. Those are two guys that give good matches, and I would love to see it at WrestleMania. Put in the comment section below what you think. All right, everyone. So Rob Van Dam reacted to John Cena's heel turn. Here's what he said. Yeah, that's true. He knew what to do that night perfectly at One Night Stand, and he's really great at what he does. So I think he's going to really master the heel persona and take it some places that we didn't expect. By the way, I mentioned this before, but I had seen him get booed. It wasn't a lot, but leading up to that One Night Stand match, there was a town or two. I think it was in Wales. Was the first time I think that I've heard it was a very similar vibe in Hammerstein Ballroom. It was very similar. Anyway, that was the first time I saw him get booed, and he was great. I don't know if I told you this story or not, but I've never seen him get booed. Then he was like, good, that's right, boo me. Let me know how you feel as long as you're out there in the crowd and you're expressing yourself. And so you're screaming that. I know you're having a good time, and that's what it's all about tonight. Obviously, he turned them all of a sudden. They were cheering him, and I was like, wow, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. So this is pretty cool by Rob Van Dam, giving us a little bit of that behind the scenes stuff and kind of being pretty honest about it. This is a really talented thing that John Cena was able to pull off. The way he did it, a lot of people were just kind of focusing in even on his facial expressions. Like it really was like it just his reaction to when Cody says no to The Rock is so exciting, right? And you can just before that, when you just see it before knowing he's going to turn heel, there's just so much excitement on his face. And now you kind of even get a deep, like it's like those little pieces of storytelling, right? Because now there's a little bit deeper there, right? He wasn't really excited that Cody decided not to turn heel. He was excited about Cody not turning heel because that meant he was going to be the one who would then be, the in the Rock's corner. So all those little things, and then you see his facial expression, it's just perfect, right? It's giving off the exact vibe that he wants to give off. There was just so much that went into it, and when you're the baby face for your whole career, that's not easy. It's not easy to easily fit into this kind of villain role, and I just like I said, it's we've been talking about how this is simply about, you know, him giving back to the business. I really think the reason they did this heel turn, I'm not sure they did it for money or anything else. I think they did it because Cena said, I want to give back to the business. And what's the best way to give back to the business? By making, the biggest star in WWE even bigger, right? By going heel, Cena's not really going to be making his star any bigger by going heel. What he's going to make bigger is Cody Rhodes, because now Cody is going up against the entire system. Now Cody is going up against it. And so I think that alone deserves a lot of praise from people because it is a risk. Even if we love it so far, even if there is a lot of talk about it, this was a major, major risk to do this. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So I'm reading here from the Sportster an article titled How John Cena's Heel Promo Broke Several Backstage Rules of Vince McMahon. So I thought this is pretty interesting because it's going to show us a little bit of the difference in what we're seeing from WWE. Okay. John Cena used insider terms and profanity. Vince McMahon went so far as to ban these words. JBL lent insider insight into Vince McMahon's rules for vocabulary. Vince McMahon didn't want wrestlers to curse or to use terms like heel or babyface on air. John Cena broke the rules, and in his retort, Cody Rhodes did as well. Now, the heel and babyface definitely might be true, but the cursing, that's just kind of depended on the era, right? Obviously, it just kind of depended on the era. Michael Cole used Vince McMahon's ultimate forbidden word. JBL has shed light on the worst word of all as far as Vince McMahon was concerned. Vince McMahon hated hearing anyone use the word prick. JBL suggested Brad Maddox lost his job over using this term in a promo. The fact that the extremely professional Michael Cole used the word was especially noteworthy. Vince McMahon never wanted to turn John Cena heel. Triple H has bucked tradition in WWE. There were opportunities for and even consideration of a John Cena heel turn in the past. Vince McMahon saw greater power in keeping Cena a hero. Vince McMahon probably would have bucked against a John Cena heel turn during his farewell tour most of all. So yeah, I mean these rules. I know Vince probably had some weird rules, right? He seemed like a guy that would be fine with some things, not so fine with others. But I think it is a new day. It is a new day where Triple H is trying to kind of rewrite a lot of stuff because he's trying to put his own imprint on the company and also show people that there are surprises in store. Like when you look at this heel turn, part of the reason it was so successful and so powerful was because nobody saw it coming. Nobody thought they would do it, and it's going to make for such a great product. And this is stuff that Vince McMahon himself would have no problem doing. Vince McMahon was not somebody who didn't take risks as it pertains to with characters. Now with Cena, I think it depends what time you're talking. Like if Cena's really bringing in a lot of money for the company as a baby face and he's wrestling all the time, turning him heel might be a pretty dumb decision because you're kind of taking out your golden goose, right, and turning him into a heel when it might not be needed. Whereas in this situation, the risk reward is a little bit different. This is Cena's farewell tour. Um, you could go ahead and switch it back really at any time, and he's only going to be a star, in the company until December, anyways. This would be like them turning Cody heel. That would have been a major risk. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So Undertaker opened up about, some of the difficulties when he retired, and here's what he said. To call it quits and know that it's the right thing to do, that's tough. I've been there. In my mind's eye, I could still go. In my heart, I wanted to go, but I knew I was like, I'm done. I'm out of gas. It took me a while to really come to grips with it. Even though I knew I was doing the right thing, it was still like there was this huge void. Like, what do I do now? I don't know what I want to coach. I don't know that's what I want to do this. It's just like this is all that I knew for the past 30 years. And it's you can only imagine it, right? You can only imagine what Undertaker was kind of feeling, especially something like wrestling, because it really was his entire life. You could watch any of the documentaries about him or anything like that, or just know the wrestling business. Like this is not something where, even a professional athlete, as tough as that is for somebody to retire from football or basketball or anything like that, you have off season, you have this, you have that. In WWE, there's no off season, and especially during Undertaker's heyday, right? There was in the Attitude Era, you were going all the time. And sure, if you had your injury, that would be your time off. But at the end of the day, you rarely got any time off. You were going and going and going, and it was all about the character, all about wrestling. It really, took over your entire life. And so when you just lose that out of the blue, when you go from doing something all the time, and I know towards the end, obviously he still wasn't doing all the time, but when you go from still everything he was doing was training for wrestling, everything he was doing was thinking about wrestling to doing nothing, that kind of shock must have been crazy, but it's good that he came to terms with it because that's how you kind of I mean, you could never really ruin Undertaker's legacy by, having bad matches, but you just didn't want to see that from him, to continue to do it. And one of the best, in my opinion, things we've seen, since his retirement was that moment last year at WrestleMania because to me it was like, "Oh my god." Like WWE delivered us an Undertaker moment that didn't require him to do anything crazy, right? It didn't require him to get into the ring and do some long match, right? It was just that split second he was in there, but it was awesome. It was one of the best WrestleMania moments I can think of, in quite some time. And I was stunned by it. I loved every second of it. I was happy it was him and not Austin, as much as I would love to also see Austin and hopefully we see him this year. I think the fact that it was Undertaker who nobody saw coming really was, one of the strongest parts. So even in retirement, Undertaker is still delivering and giving back to the business. So thank you all for watching. All right, everyone. So, according to WrestleVotes, according to sources, another name being discussed internally for the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025 is the Ugandan giant Kamala. Kamala, who had a successful career throughout the 80s and 90s, is expected to join Triple H, Lex Luger, and others in this year's class. So, I wanted to be able to find a really good article here that gives some background on Kamala and what he did. So, this is from Wrestling Inc., and I think they do a good job. A 32-year veteran, when he retired in 2010, Kamala joined WWE in 1984 after a feud with Andre the Giant for Mid-South Wrestling. He became one of the first major rivals for WWE Champion Hulk Hogan, while also continuing his feud with Andre. After leaving following the conclusion of both feuds, he returned in 1986, once again serving as a rival to Hogan. The feud ended abruptly when Kamal left in 1987 following a pay dispute, save for a 1 year run with WWE from 92 to 93, where he feuded with Randy Savage and The Undertaker. Kamala bounced around for the rest of his career. Notably, highlights from this time included a brief run in WCW as a member of the Dungeon of Doom, sporadic WWE appearances in the early 2000s, and challenging Bryan Danielson for the Ring of Honor World title in 2006. In the latter years of his life, health problems took a toll on Kamala with complications from high blood pressure and diabetes, forced Kamala to have both his legs amputated. He passed away in August 2020 due to cardiac arrest, complications with diabetes, and COVID 19. So obviously, very sad how he died at the end of, his life there. But I'm glad that he's going to be honored by WWE. This is something, as we just read, that last paragraph, which details the issues he had at the end of his life due to health problems and all of that. But now he's going to be honored. 5 years later, he's going to be honored by the WWE. And we're going to get to everybody who didn't get to see him, live, right? We'll get to relive a lot of his great moments and he'll be talked about in the wrestling world now forever, right? So I think that's a really special, special thing to happen and this is really shaping up to be a cool Hall of Fame class. So, congratulations.